this video, we're going to cover Almanak, which is one of the coolest DeFi AI teams that I've come across. So let's get right into it. So what is Almanak? With Almanak, you can essentially build AI agents that go and execute AI-driven DeFi strategies on different chains, etc. There is this element that if you're just a user, you can just use other people's agents. It's like a whole essentially marketplace of agents, right? That's kind of the end vision here. So you can go and deploy your own vaults. You can use Python code to go build out these agents, and you can also prompt the agent with different goals. So it's a full stack ecosystem for building DeFi agents. There are basically simulation tests as well that you can run. So that's something they've invested a lot into, is basically allowing you to simulate out the performance of an agent. And then once you are actually ready to deploy it, you can deploy it and retail can go and use your agent without really any friction. So I compared it to a couple other agent teams as well. So I would say like Almanak is the one that's most focused on being a platform for agents where retail can actually go out and discover agents and use these different agents. And they've also taught the most about how to incentivize creation of these strategies or optimization of these strategies. So they have a style similar to Bittensor in terms of how they do emissions of tokens to actually incentivize people to go out and build strategies. So their main audience is both retail, but as well as quants and developers. So the idea here is they want to democratize a lot of the infrastructure that was only available to big institutions and allow basically normies like you and me to earn better yield, right? So the way you build agents in Almanak is through LLMs as well as Python. So they do try to make it a bit more accessible than some of the other ecosystems out here. So the team is quite strong. You have Michael, who's worked at DeFAI. He's an advisor for Layer Zero, pretty deep background in the space. There's Lars as well, another expert from DeFi, who's a Solidity expert. And this is basically a DeFi incubation. So obviously DeFi's got some pretty incredible tech and like thinking behind it. And then they also have Lucas, which is their COO. So they raised 6.7 million. Right now, they're also going to be doing a Legion/Cookie raise as well. And they're probably, even though they haven't raised like a ridiculous amount of money, I think they're one of the strongest teams in the space in terms of how far forward they are and how clear they have a vision in terms of what they're building. So basically the flow is you have the goal/prompt where you build out these agents. You can then essentially go and have this Monte Carlo simulator that can essentially allow you to test out your agent without really risking any money. So that's how you're able to back test and make sure it actually performs. And then from there, you can obviously deploy it. They do set this up in a way where this is essentially, it's kind of like non-custodial execution with user-owned wallets. So each user will have their own kind of wallet that the agent can then interact with. So it does reduce risk for, in terms of like, let's say the agent hallucinating and doing something crazy with your money. So they do have a points program right now. Now, to be honest, right now, they pretty much are only deploying their own strategy, right? So they have their own kind of stablecoin optimization strategy. So you can earn points by referring other friends, by depositing USDC, etc. And right now, season 1 is live, getting 150,000 points a day. So right now, the points don't have any cash value, but they do have an airdrop coming for their live token. So I do think it's worth essentially going and depositing right now to start earning points. Right now, they have one vault, which is the Autonomous Liquidity USD. This is their own agentic strategy. It's basically goes out and essentially deploys your capital amongst relatively safe DeFi protocols. So you can kind of see the details here, what the exposures are, what the underlying tokens that it can use, basically deploy are. So you can right now see, right, it's basically lending out in Morpho. There's also a bit of Yearn V3. There's some Euler Finance. So essentially balancing between these to provide you the best yield. Now with this, they are saying a 48% APY. Really, that's an 8.3% APY, but they're just calculating their Almanak points based on a 90 million FTV and the current TVL. This TVL is going to grow a lot more. I'm sure before TGE, you're going to have some whales come in and TVL is going to go over 100 million. So take this APY with a big grain of salt. However, it is interesting because it pretty much shows that they're kind of thinking about how to reward users and they clearly have a plan for it, right? So go check it out. I've definitely deployed some capital in there. I think it's a pretty good bet to just farm your stables a bit better. So let's quickly go over their tokenomics and governance. So what's interesting here is most of this goes to strategists as well as agent managers. And then these are basically emissions. So it's kind of like Bittensor where you have these emissions going out based on how successful your strategy is, and I'm guessing based on usage. And then the other piece here is they also have this VE token model. So you basically have staked Almanak tokens, and then you can use that for governance, right? So you essentially have this like curve style bribing model. So you can basically bribe towards emissions to go towards certain strategies or agents. And yeah, that should create some interesting dynamics as well, right? So basically the whole idea is they want to incentivize people to build really amazing agentic strategies that get a ton of usage and get a lot of traction, and then they get rewarded for that. So this is kind of the best, well thought out like DeFi AI ecosystem strategy I've seen. A lot of these DeFi AI teams, they haven't really thought about things as well as Almanak has. And it seems like Almanak's a lot further along than other teams. So that's why I'm pretty bullish on them. So the bull case here is they're going to be the first mover in DeFi AI agents that are actually being widely used, right? The fact that you can go out there, they already have an autonomous strategy that you can start using and earn yield on is already a good sign. They also have really great UX, and they've obviously thought about the safety and custody side of things quite a bit. And yeah, the cool thing is this is both attractive for quants and retail. Maybe quants don't want to go out there and build their own DeFi agent protocol. All the infrastructure's here. They can just deploy strategies and then earn a lot from that. And then this is also really great for retail because it's just you go and find these different strategies, look at what yields they're getting, and go deploy your capital. And I think that's kind of what makes this work, is they built this underlying infrastructure. Now you just let quants and retail kind of fill the rest in. Now the bear case is maybe it's going to be hard to attract top talent. Maybe top talent is going to go to some of these trading firms, etc. But honestly, this could make it where top quants actually won't go to trading firms because they're essentially able to earn fees and emissions on this. And yeah, they'll be able to do a lot better than otherwise. Token emissions could be gamed. We saw that somewhat with Curve and the Curve Wars. So that's also something that could be tricky. It's like, how do you determine which agent strategies deserve the emissions? How do you prevent gaming of the system, etc.? And then third point is exploits and agents. Exploits or bad agents could also hurt trust and basically reduce interest in the protocol. So that's something where all it takes is one DeFi agent to get that does a really bad, like, some sort of, let's say it deposits a bunch of funds into a protocol that rugs, right? And then things could get nasty from there. And then the last one is there's a lot of competition from other teams, which, like I've said, I think Almanak's taking a more thought out approach, and they also have a lot more tech moats. So I'm pretty bullish on them doing it. And also I think they've thought a lot about how to make this actually usable by retail. I feel like a lot of these AI agent teams are just throwing a bunch of buzzwords around, but it's not really like there's no easy way for people to interact with it. So let's talk about the roadmap. So obviously they've done their raise already. They're about to do a Legion and Cookie raise as well. They're going to be launching their platform relatively soon. I'm guessing second half of this year. That means TGE is also coming up. Now, they've already launched one vault. What I really want to see is multiple vaults, and vaults that are being developed by quants, traders, and not just their team. So that's where I consider like the platform actually launching. But like I showed you, there is one vault open right now. I'm farming it. I encourage you to as well. So yeah, I think I'm very curious to see where things go with Almanak. Extremely promising team. And I really like how they've clearly laid out their vision. There's something you can do right now on the platform. You can earn yield on it. I think if they can scale this up where normal people can go start deploying strategies, this could be a big winner. And quite frankly, Bittensor is a massive, massive protocol. I think these guys have the potential to build something like that in DeFi. And if they do, this could be a multi-billion-dollar protocol. So that's my bull case for Almanak. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.